Ladies and gentlemen, we have Grok 3. Now this is something we've been waiting for some time. Lots of buzz, lots of excitement. It was dropped, and it was dropped through a video. I didn't see the paper yet. Nevertheless, there was mixed feedback on the model, if you ask me. The initial couple of days is usually hype. People are putting videos how great it is. It is the best model out there. You can watch those. I will not cover those benchmarks because I'm sure you already, if you're interested in the topic, you already watched maybe 2 or 3 of them by now. Today, I wanted to give it a request or a prompt that no other reasoning model got right before. So I tested this prompt or this project with all of the reasoning models. Never ever I got a satisfying result. So I will ask the model to create a visual that would help anyone who doesn't understand AI to really learn how the transformer architecture works. So in theory, it sounds simple, but it is not. Easily, any model can explain to you the transformer architecture. But to achieve this result, the model has to really understand the process in detail, and then they will have to reason how would they actually visually explain this to someone. I'm allowing it to use labels, I'm allowing it to use all the features that it can use. And the third one is how do I code it for this project to actually appear on a screen, on a web app, to explain it to people, again, visually. So I've tried it with O1, I've tried it with many notorious models. Never ever I got a result that would be something even potentially or remotely I would push to the internet and show people. I'm going to test it today with 2 models, not only one. So just to have that kind of contrast, I will test it with X, but I will also test it with DeepSeek R1, which I did not test this project with yet. So let's simply jump into the prompting. So we'll push that to both models. We'll see the results that we get out of it. I will run them for you, and then I'll give you my judgment on those as I look at them and compare them to things I've done in the past. And you'll be the judge for yourself also to compare these two and maybe the high level quality of each of these models and really their ability to reason through such a request. And finally, you decide again if X is really the top model today in the AI space. And with this, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel, the mic.
Okay, if you didn't see it, this is the XAI interface, and you can see the Grok and the XAI logo here. You have the normal chat area here where basically you can put text and start conversing with the model. After that, it moves to a standard chat kind of thing. And here in the bottom right, you can select the model. So if we click at it, you can enable search. So this is again search, online search basically, which we have now in OpenAI and other models. You have Grok 2, you can select it, and then the smartest Grok 3 you can see in beta version. So they said this will remain like for a number of weeks, and then we're going to get the full version. Here you have think, deep research, and then attach. You can click here and attach. So interesting, when I have think on, I cannot attach files to Grok. Okay. In the bottom, you have research, brainstorm, analyze. I think those are templates, nothing more than that. And here you have the prompt for the project I explained in the beginning. Without going through it, I give it lots of options. I ask it to do certain things just to give it as much as possible as a model to understand what I'm looking for clearly, but at the same time I do not limit its thinking arena or area. So I don't want to spit everything for it step by step. I'd rather give it a really clear picture of what I want eventually, but give it space to really create something that would achieve my eventual goal. And that goal I made very clear in this prompt. So this is, you have it here for X. I'm going to push it now. We're going to go to DeepSeek, push it there. And then I will just take you to the project version of those things, unless I see something crazy coming out of the responses of any of those models. I think the best way to showcase the response is actually show you the projects as they go. Hopefully, neither will deliver code or projects that will require me to debug. If that's the case, I'll basically tell you what happened. So let's here push this to X. Let's go to DeepSeek. It is the exact same prompt, and I have selected DeepThink R1. So let's hit go here. Hopefully this will work. If you're using for some time DeepSeek, we're getting those kind of loss in or interruptions in service. Again, due to the model being free and with lots of load, maybe people want to use a free thinking model. That's very clear. So actually we got into the queue and it is thinking for us and giving us responses. Let's go to X. Now people were talking about how fast it is, and you can see this carousel, I think that's the word, of it doing the thinking, and basically they didn't want to allow anyone to steal of that kind of chain of thought that the model does. Now I made it very clear also that I'm gonna run this code on Replit just to make things easier. So let me start building. So I have the first one from X. Let me start building it in Replit, and I'll show you the first demo hopefully just after this. Okay, so I have the application ready. You can see on the screen, I loaded the code for the application as I got it from XAI. It gave it to me through an HTML file and the CSS file. So basic front-end type of structure. So let's see how it looks. Let's see if that really makes sense as a transformer architecture. I actually asked for it to be an encoder-decoder, full transformer architecture. So here goes nothing. I'll click run and we'll see what XAI actually achieved here. Okay, so we have something. Let's open it in full view in the tab. Okay, so there's an input sequence. It goes to the encoder, transform architecture. It's not interactive, just is code. I asked for some interactive elements. So, but again, let's just vet it quickly. So you have the input sequence that goes to the encoder. Again, it's missing some steps of the sequencing, okay, and then the embedding, but it goes to the self-attention. This is the single product attention, okay, heads, and then it goes to the feed forward. That's the first layer, okay, and then it moves to the decoder, and again, it's okay. It's mentioning the masked self-attention, which is good, and then it goes to the encoder-decoder attention, and then feed forward, and then output, and here it has an overall explanation. Slightly better visually than what I got in the past in other models, but nothing much. I do understand when people are questioning the claim that it is better than other models. And maybe this is too early and maybe this is too superficial to give that feedback. So if you disagree, write me a comment in the comment section. I'm just waiting to get the full model so I can really do testing. But out of curiosity and to really look into the contrast here, let's see what the DeepSeek R1 gave us. Okay, so I got the code from the DeepSeek R1. It gave a similar structure, HTML, CSS, but also it gave some JavaScript in the script.js. Let's run and see the difference that we get out of DeepSeek R1. It's running and then, okay, it's looking like a normal web page, no visual there. So let's open it in a tab to see if there's anything. If I click, certain things are appearing with the hover. Yeah, so it's just, see, it did an explanation. The only visual effect it did like a hover effect that just gives an explanation of certain things. It's not really working compared to what we got from XAI. Okay, so I decided to, midway of recording this video, to actually do it again with O1, and I want to do it with Gemini 2.0, the reasoning or the thinking model, what they call the thinking model for complex tasks. So I will run both, see what I get from them, and again show you the same outcome of these models. So we'll have 4 models trying to do a showcase for the transformer architecture based on the exact same prompt, and we can have a wider type of judgment, because just looking at DeepSeek was really bad at it, X was okay, no one nailed it. So let's just go ahead and bring 2 big players to the game and see what we get. So I'll hit go on O1. Already I gave the instruction to Gemini. Once I get the responses, I'm gonna show you the outcome of those, and then we'll stack them next to each other. We'll just scan them quickly, and I'll give you my feedback, but you need to make your own judgment of the models. XAI seems okay. I would have, based on the hype around it, I would have expected more. Maybe people can ridicule the prompt I gave it. I can share that prompt. I expected more for such hype. Okay, so I'm ready with the O1 response or version of the transformer architecture explainer. So that's what I will call it now. So let's hit run and see what O1 brings. Now the good thing, none of them is giving us errors. So we were getting errors out of none of them. So let's look at it in a full page. So this seems better than both the one I got from DeepSeek R1 and X. I don't know if O1 did something different, if they improved the model that we have access to. Last time I tested, I didn't get this kind of quality. And you can see they added some hovering on top of the element. So I asked for these type of features in the prompt. Now, the DeepSeek R1 just did it without any shapes. XAI did the shapes, but no hovering element or anything that could help someone understand the encoder-decoder transformer architecture as they move from step by step. The arrows look neater. It looks something that is visually easy to understand the flow. I don't know if we click something, it will show something different. Okay, there's no clicking effect of any of these. We're just looking at the input embedding here. So they're covering the embedding, and then we get the encoder, self-attention, and feed forward. And they have some explainer down there. And then the decoder, which is the mask, self-attention, encoder, decoder, attention, feed forward. And then you get an output prediction. This should have been here, I think, or it should have had a line to do like a cycle around the decoder and then the input that goes into the encoder. So this is a simplistic thing. You know, honestly, I show it to someone, they might get a high level idea about the transformer architecture. Let's actually look at Gemini. I think Gemini is the one always being dismissed. I don't want to dismiss Gemini. I think Google at some point might surprise everyone. At the end of the day, they are one of the OGs when it comes to AI, machine learning for years and years. So let's go to Gemini and see what we got from Gemini. And then I will share with you, but you'll have to make your mind on which model really did it best or better than others. So let's go to Gemini. So let's look what Gemini gave us. Okay, it's an interesting one as well. It has all the features that we got out of O1. So let's open it in a full screen and see how that looks. Actually, it's the only one that gave it color. It's neater. Okay, so, and we get those really nice, really big kind of hovering information bubbles, and it's giving good information. So let's just look at it. I think this is the neatest. I think, surprise, surprise, I think Gemini did the best job, honestly. So let me just look at it. It looks really nice. And then you get an input sequence. It's lacking the arrows. It's lacking the arrows, at least from this stage. But you can see it is boxing the transformer architecture in one area. And then there's an input sequence and output sequence. So maybe intuitively, it's expecting people to understand, or people need to read the description here and then just go from the sequence one by one. So let's just go back through what we got from all of them. So this is what we got from X, just to refresh your memory. So this is what XAI gave us. Okay, good. It has some arrows. The shapes are not really arranged. The color is black and white. I didn't give any feedback in the prompt if I prefer color or not. So I left this kind of creativity to the thinking models. It has some explanation. There's no hovering effect. It's like the flat text that you get here, the same text. Nothing is actually being shown to the user. And then we go to DeepSeek R1, which did a horrible job, honestly, on this one. It did a horrible job. It just like you get some hovering thing. It didn't play it well. It didn't show the outcome in the right way. And yeah, it missed it, basically. It didn't do any kind of good job. So it's the worst. Clearly the worst is DeepSeek R1. And then this is the O1 explainer. It has more information, I would say. And it also has the kind of hovering bubbles that explain things at each steps. It has color, to be fair. You know, we just looked at the one from Gemini. It has some color here. It has some kind of explainer bubble per decoder and then encoder. It is giving that information bubble for a whole block, not even for the sub steps within that block. But it has lots of text, lots of explanation on top and on bottom. Again, all of them probably nailed it. I will not read it line by line. It's just how you present it. The whole concept of that prompt, I want it to be a web page that I show to someone who knows nothing about the transformer architecture. And just from looking at the visual, they are able to really understand the concept. and I opened the door for visual effects, simple ones. None of them use that other than the option I gave them or the idea I gave them in the prompt, which is these information bubbles when people hover over the shapes. And honestly, if you ask me, the best is Gemini. It's between O1 and Gemini. So here, if you look, you're getting that information per step. So let's read the self-attention. The encoder's self-attention mechanism allows the model to consider other words in the input sequence. When encoding a specific word, it captures the relationship between words. Okay, feed-forward, a simply fully connected feed-forward network applied to each position separately. Okay, so it's going through the feed-forward. And then what is masked self-attention? It's explaining that. So it's interesting, and it has arrows, not the best ones, but it might give someone a sense of how it works. I don't think it will work overall to give the idea of the transformer architecture. Probably none of them. I'm not sure. Would O1 help you understand? I don't think so. I don't think any of them will do the job. Actually, in terms of sequence, although it is the visual sequence, X did okay job, but nothing else. So I don't think if this will really help someone to understand it. It has some text, some explainer. Here you have it. I'm gonna do more tests in some of these model features later on, especially when we get the full XAI. But from my first exposure, and this is a tough prompt I give it. It requires an understanding of the transformer architecture, reasoning around how to explain that concept to someone who doesn't know it, and then deciding on how to code it in a way that would meet that reasoning outcome of explaining it to someone who doesn't understand it. So it has three, I would say, layers of really delivering on that project, and it's complex. So in my opinion, the way I would rank them, I think none of them got it perfect, which is fine, but I would put at the bottom DeepSeek R1. After DeepSeek R1, it's a hesitant XAI position in number 3. Number 2, I would go for, again, this is very tough, but I would go for O1. And number 1, and it's a big surprise, I'm so glad I did it for O1 and Gemini. Number 1, in my opinion, goes to Gemini. So tell me in the comment section, who do you think comes in the first, second, third, and fourth? This is, again, my opinion, and I'm going to do more testing to go in the future. But today, to make the claim that XAI just blew all of the other models out of the water and it's the top model in the market, I know some people are disputing that already on YouTube. I don't think that's fair, honestly. From maybe just a simple surface scratch type of experiment, there's so many capabilities to these models in so many different areas. I just selected one that I'm testing always. I don't think it's the top dog out there, to put it that way. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Comment, that's the most important thing. And if you think someone could be interested to watch this, hey, why not just hit like or share it or whatever. It helps the channel. Any action or interaction that you do with my videos. And with this, thank you for giving me your time and have a good day.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.